I moved into my quaint little house on Elmridge Avenue, with high hopes and dreams of peaceful suburban living. The charming neighborhood had everything I needed: a small garden, friendly neighbors, and a sense of safety that the bustling city never provided. However, as the days passed, I began to sense that something was amiss. Something deeply unsettling lurking just beyond the walls of my seemingly idyllic home. It all started innocently enough, shortly after my move. One evening, as I was unpacking boxes in my living room, I heard a faint murmur of voices. At first, I dismissed it as the wind playing tricks on me, or perhaps distant traffic noise. But the whispers persisted, growing clearer and more distinct with each passing day. The voices seemed to emanate from the wall that separated my house from the one next door, where a reclusive couple resided. Mr. and Mrs. Halloway were the subject of many local rumors. They rarely ventured outside, and when they did, they kept their faces hidden beneath heavy scarves and wide-brimmed hats. They had moved in a few years before I did, and I had never seen them up close. As the whispers continued, I found myself increasingly obsessed with deciphering their meaning. Late at night, when the world was shrouded in darkness, the voices would reach a crescendo. It was as if they were having conversations just inches away from my ears. Yet when I pressed my ear to the wall, all I could discern were fragmented sentences and eerie laughter. I grew sleep-deprived, tormented by the incessant murmurs that filled my home. I became fixated on the idea that the Halloways were hiding something sinister that connected them to these unsettling nocturnal utterances. Determined to unravel the mystery, I decided to confront my neighbors. One gloomy afternoon, I mustered the courage to knock on their front door. After what felt like an eternity, the door creaked open just a crack, revealing a sliver of Mrs. Halloway's veiled face. Her eyes were pale blue and seemed to pierce through me, sending a chill down my spine. I've been hearing strange voices coming from the walls, I stammered, my voice trembling. Mrs. Halloway's lips curled into a faint smile. Ah, the voices. They've been part of this place for as long as we can remember. Echoes of the past, you might say. My heart raced as she spoke. There was an otherworldly quality to her voice, and I couldn't shake the feeling that she knew more than she was letting on. As the conversation continued, she revealed nothing substantial, leaving me more confused than ever. Days turned into weeks, and my obsession with the whispers deepened. Sleep became a distant memory, replaced by a relentless quest for the truth. My mind was unraveling, and I became convinced that the key to deciphering the voices lay within the Halloway's house. One moonlit night, when the world was shrouded in an eerie silence, I decided to take matters into my own hands. Armed with a flashlight, I slipped through my back garden and climbed over the fence that separated our properties. The Halloway's house loomed before me, its windows like vacant eyes staring into the night. I found an unlocked window and entered the dimly lit house. It was as if time had stood still within those walls. Dust-covered furniture and faded photographs lined the rooms, casting an air of abandonment. The voices, however, were more potent here, resonating through the very foundation of the house. My heart pounded in my chest as I descended into the basement. The voices grew louder, their tone shifting from hushed murmurs to urgent cries. In the center of the basement, I discovered an old, ornate mirror. Its surface seemed to ripple with an otherworldly energy, and I couldn't tear my gaze away from it. As I stared into the mirror, my reflection began to change. The lines between past and present blurred, and I saw glimpses of people who had once inhabited this house, tormented souls trapped in a never-ending loop of despair. Their whispers grew deafening, merging into a cacophony of agony. Suddenly, a figure materialized behind me in the mirror. It was Mrs. Halloway, her veiled face contorted with rage. "You shouldn't have come here," she hissed, her voice a chorus of the damned. I turned to face her, only to find her standing right behind me. The room seemed to twist and distort, the walls closing in on me. The whispers grew so loud that they became a physical force, pushing against me from all sides. In a moment of sheer terror, I realized the truth. The Halloways were not haunted by the voices. They were the voices. They were mediums, conduits for the tormented souls trapped within the walls of their house. And now, I was trapped with them. The room collapsed into darkness, and I was consumed by the voices, their anguish seeping into my very soul. I became one of them, a prisoner of the Halloway's haunted existence. And so, dear reader, If you ever move into a seemingly peaceful neighborhood, beware the whispers that linger in the walls, for they might just be the cries of the past, waiting to claim your sanity and trap you in a nightmare from which there is no escape.